I am sitting alone in my studio apartment, staring at the wedding ring on the coffee table. 3 weeks ago, my wife Diana told me those exact words. If you are insecure, just leave. My chest tightens every time I replay that moment. So I did what she dared me to do. I left. And that single decision changed everything in ways neither of us saw coming. What happened next tore our 7-year marriage apart in a way I never imagined possible. Before I tell you how a single sentence destroyed 7 years of marriage, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your location in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe, because what I am about to share will show you what happens when someone mistakes your silence for weakness. Trust me, you will want to hear how this ends. Diana and I had been married for 7 years. On paper, everything looked perfect. I worked as a software developer, mostly remote from our home office. Diana was a marketing manager at a mid-sized company downtown. We had a nice house in the suburbs, 2 cars in the garage, regular date nights on weekends. To anyone looking from the outside, we had it all figured out. But something had shifted over the past 6 months. The warmth between us started cooling. Our conversations became shorter, more practical. Diana came home later and later from work. The physical intimacy that once came naturally now felt forced, uncomfortable. When I tried to hold her hand on the couch, she would find an excuse to get up. When I suggested we spend a weekend together, she always had plans or was too tired. I told myself this was normal. 7 years together, people go through phases. The passion dims a little, you settle into routine. That is what marriage is, right? I convinced myself we just needed to push through this rough patch. But deep down, something felt off. I just could not put my finger on what. Then Kyle entered the picture. About 4 months ago, Diana's company hired him as their new creative director. He was in his mid-30s from what Diana told me. At first, it was innocent. She mentioned him casually over dinner. Kyle had a great idea for the campaign. Kyle was funny during the team meeting. Kyle and I are working on a project together. I did not think much of it. Diana was allowed to have work friends. I trusted her. But then his name started appearing more frequently, multiple times a day. Kyle said this, Kyle did that. Kyle thinks we should try this approach. It was like Kyle became the third person in our marriage, always present even when he was not physically there. I noticed Diana started putting more effort into her appearance on workdays. She bought new clothes, changed her hairstyle, spent an extra 20 minutes on makeup before heading to the office. When I complimented her, she brushed it off. Just felt like trying something new, she said. One night around midnight, I woke up to the sound of Diana giggling. I opened my eyes and saw the light from her phone illuminating her face in the dark bedroom. She was texting someone, smiling at the screen, in a way I had not seen her smile at me in months. When I asked who she was talking to, she quickly locked her phone. Just a meme from the work group chat, she said. Nothing important. But the way she said it, defensive and quick, made my stomach turn. The real warning sign came at her company happy hour. Diana invited me to come along, said it would be nice for me to meet her colleagues. I was actually excited. Maybe meeting these people would help me understand her world better, bring us closer. But when we arrived at the bar, everything felt wrong from the start. Diana introduced me to a few people, but when Kyle walked over, something changed. She did not introduce me as her husband right away. She seemed flustered, laughing too loud at his jokes. Kyle was exactly what I expected. Athletic build, confident handshake. The kind of guy who commanded attention when he walked into a room. The life of the party type. I watched them interact throughout the evening. They stood closer than coworkers needed to stand. They had inside jokes I was not part of. When Kyle touched her arm while telling a story, Diana did not pull away. She leaned in. I felt invisible, standing 3 feet away from my own wife. On the drive home, I tried to bring it up gently. You and Kyle seem really close, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Diana's response was immediate and sharp. He is just a friend, Reginald. Do not be weird about it. That word weird stuck with me. Was I being weird? Was I overreacting? Maybe I was reading too much into innocent workplace friendship. I decided to drop it, but the uncomfortable feeling in my chest would not go away. The following week, Diana went to a team dinner. She texted me around 7 p.m. that she would be out with Kyle and a few other coworkers, told me not to wait up. She came home at 11 p.m., smelling like wine and laughing about stories from dinner. I asked how it went. She barely looked at me while answering, already heading upstairs to bed. Another night, she worked late with Kyle on a presentation. Do not wait up, the text said again. I ate dinner alone, watching television in an empty house that suddenly felt too big. Weekend mornings, Diana spent hours on her phone. I would see her smiling at the screen, typing quickly, laughing at messages I was not part of. When I asked what was so funny, she would say it was nothing, just work stuff. But work did not usually make her light up like that. I tried to create moments for us. I suggested watching a movie together one Saturday evening. She said she was too tired. I reached for her hand on the couch during a show we used to watch together. She pulled away. I am tired, Reg, she said. The rejection stung more than she probably realized. Or maybe she did realize and just did not care anymore. The real turning point came with the company retreat. Diana's office planned a weekend getaway at a resort about 2 hours from the city. Team building activities, she explained. Unfortunately, partners were not invited, just employees. I felt a sharp pang of disappointment, but tried to be supportive. Have fun, I told her. Take lots of pictures. She kissed my cheek, a gesture that felt more obligatory than affectionate, and left Friday morning with her overnight bag. Throughout the weekend, Diana posted several photos on social media. Group shots of the team doing trust falls and ropes courses. Pictures of fancy dinners and sunset views. But one photo made my blood run cold. It was taken by the fire pit on Saturday night. Diana sat in an Adirondack chair, Kyle in the chair right next to hers. His arm rested casually on the back of her chair, not quite touching her, but close enough to claim the space. They were both laughing, faces turned toward each other, captured in a moment that looked far too intimate for coworkers. The comments under that photo made it worse. Her coworkers wrote things like, "You two are so cute together," followed by laughing emojis. Another said power duo with a fire emoji. Someone else wrote, "When is the wedding?" clearly joking, but it felt like a knife. I stared at that photo for 20 minutes, zooming in, analyzing every detail. The way she leaned toward him, the genuine joy on her face, the comfort between them. I had not seen her look that happy with me in months. Diana came home Sunday night around 10 p.m. She walked through the door absolutely glowing. Her face was bright, her energy high. The retreat was amazing, she gushed, dropping her bag by the stairs. We did so many fun activities. The food was incredible. The resort was beautiful. And in those first 15 minutes home, she mentioned Kyle's name 10 times. Kyle organized the scavenger hunt. Kyle was so funny during charades. Kyle and I won the trivia competition. Kyle helped her with the rock climbing wall. Kyle. I tried to listen, tried to be happy that she had a good time, but each mention of his name felt like a small cut. I lasted until Monday evening before I could not hold it in anymore. We finished dinner in relative silence, a silence that had become normal for us. Diana was washing dishes when I finally said the words I had been rehearsing in my head all day. "Diana, we need to talk about Kyle." She stopped scrubbing the plate in her hand, her shoulders tensing. She turned around slowly, her expression already defensive. "What about him?" I took a breath, trying to keep my voice calm and reasonable. "I feel like you two are spending a lot of time together, more than normal coworkers do." She let out an exasperated sigh, the kind you give when someone is being ridiculous. "Reg, we work on the same projects. What do you expect? We are going to spend time together. That is how work works." "It is not just work, though," I pressed on. "The texting late at night. The way you light up when you talk about him. I barely get you to smile at me anymore, but Kyle gets mentioned 10 times in 15 minutes. So what? She snapped back. I am not allowed to have friends at work. You are reading into things that are not there. That photo at the retreat, Diana. I tried to keep my voice steady. The comments people left. It looked like more than just coworkers having fun. Her face flushed red with anger. Those were jokes, Reginald. People joking around. You are being paranoid. This is exactly what I am talking about. You are making something out of nothing. I just want to feel like I matter to you again, I said quietly, and the vulnerability in my voice surprised even me. I feel like I am losing you. Diana stared at me for a long moment, and I saw something flash in her eyes. Not sympathy, not understanding. Annoyance. This is ridiculous, she said coldly. I am going to bed. She walked past me without another word, leaving me standing alone in the kitchen, feeling smaller than I ever had in our marriage. The situation exploded the following Friday night. Diana announced she was going out for drinks with the team after work. I asked, trying to sound casual, "Will Kyle be there?" Her response came sharp and irritated. "Yes, Reginald. Kyle will be there. And Sarah and Marcus and everyone else from the department. Is that okay with you?" She said it like I was a controlling parent, asking permission, not her husband expressing concern. At 10 p.m., I sent a simple text. "When are you coming home?" Her reply was curt. "Soon. Stop checking on me like I am a child." Midnight came and went. Finally, at 12:30 a.m., I heard her car pull into the driveway. I had been sitting in the living room unable to sleep, unable to focus on anything. When she walked through the door, her makeup was smudged, her hair messier than when she left. The smell of alcohol hit me from across the room. "Diana," I said, standing up. "This has to stop." She kicked off her heels, looking at me with tired, irritated eyes. "What has to stop? Whatever is happening between you and Kyle." Something in her expression hardened. "Nothing is happening, Reginald. Why cannot you get that through your head?" Her voice rose with each word. "I am so sick of this. Sick of being accused of something I am not doing." "Then why do you prioritize him over me?" I felt my own voice breaking. "Why do you text him more than you talk to me? Why does he get your best energy, and I get whatever is left over? Maybe because he does not accuse me of things I am not doing." She threw her purse on the couch. "Maybe because he does not question every single thing I do. I am your husband, Diana." And my voice cracked completely. "I should matter. You should want to spend time with me. You should care that I am hurting." She stared at me, her face a mixture of anger and something else I could not quite read. Then she said the words that would change everything. "You know what, Reg? If you are so insecure that you cannot handle me having a work friend, then maybe you should just leave." Her words hit like physical blows. I am done with this jealousy. I am done defending myself for doing nothing wrong. If you cannot trust me, what is the point of this marriage anyway? The room went completely silent. Even the hum of the refrigerator seemed to disappear. I stood there staring at my wife of 7 years and felt something fundamental break inside me. Not just my heart. My willingness to keep fighting for someone who clearly did not want to fight for us. "You want me to leave?" The words came out barely above a whisper. "I am saying if you cannot trust me, there is no point in this." She crossed her arms, her posture defiant. The dare hung in the air between us. She expected me to back down, to apologize, to beg her to let me stay. That is what I always did. I smoothed things over. I made myself smaller. I accepted less than I deserved just to keep the peace. But something was different this time. Maybe it was the way she said it, so cold and dismissive. Maybe it was the accumulated weight of months of feeling invisible in my own marriage. Maybe it was finally realizing that I was begging for basic respect and affection from someone who should have been giving it freely. Whatever it was, I felt a strange calm settle over me. "Okay," I said simply. Okay. Diana blinked, clearly surprised. What if that is what you want? If you would rather dare me to leave than work on our marriage, then I will go. I turned and walked toward the stairs. She stood there frozen, like she could not quite believe what was happening. Reginald, she called after me, but I did not turn around. I went upstairs and did not come back down that night. I did not sleep. I lay in our bed, Diana on the far edge, both of us silent and awake in the darkness. Somewhere around 4 a.m., I made my decision. If she wanted me to leave, I would leave. But I would do it on my terms with my dignity intact. Saturday morning, I waited until I heard Diana's deep breathing that indicated she had finally fallen asleep around dawn. I got up quietly and started packing. One suitcase of clothes, my laptop and work equipment in a backpack, important documents from the home office. I moved through our house like a ghost, taking only what was mine, leaving everything else untouched. I called Jake, my best friend from college, who lived about 30 minutes away. "Dude, what happened?" he asked when I explained I needed a place to stay. "I will explain everything later," I told him. "I just need somewhere to go right now." "Come over," he said without hesitation. "Stay as long as you need." Before I left, I did two things. First, I took off my wedding ring and placed it carefully on the kitchen counter, where Diana would see it immediately. 7 years of marriage reduced to a small gold band, sitting alone on granite. Then, I wrote a note on a piece of paper and left it next to the ring. My hand shook slightly as I wrote, "Diana, you told me if I could not trust you, I should leave. So I am. I hope Kyle makes you happier than I could. -R." I walked out of that house at 9:15 a.m., threw my suitcase and backpack in my car and drove away. I did not look back. Diana woke up around 11 a.m., based on when the text messages started coming. The first one came at 11:20. "Reg, this is childish. Come home." I stared at my phone in Jake's spare bedroom and did not respond. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again and again. By noon, I had 6 missed calls. Finally, around 1 p.m., she texted again. "We need to talk. This is ridiculous. Do not be so dramatic. I did not mean it like that. Come home so we can discuss this like adults." I felt a surge of anger at that text. She got to say whatever she wanted, dare me to leave, and now I was being dramatic for actually doing it. At 3 p.m., I finally responded. "You were clear about what you wanted, Diana. I am giving it to you." My phone rang immediately. I stared at her name on the screen, took a deep breath and declined the call. 2 minutes later, another text. "Reg, please. I did not want this. I was just angry. Come home. We can talk." "No," I typed back. "You told me to leave if I was insecure about Kyle." I left. That is it. I put my phone on silent and tried to process what I had just done. Jake brought me coffee and sat on the edge of the bed. "You really walked out?" he asked quietly. I nodded. She dared me to. So I called her bluff. He whistled low. "That takes guts, man." "You okay?" I did not know how to answer that. The first week at Jake's place was strange. I set up a temporary workspace in his spare bedroom, took video calls for work, tried to maintain some sense of normalcy. But inside, I was a mess. Diana continued texting. "Please come home, I miss you. We can work this out." Each message felt like a manipulation, an attempt to reel me back in without actually addressing anything. Jake asked me one night over beer what I was going to do. "Are you really done? Or is this just to scare her into changing?" I thought about that question for a long time. Then I realized something important. I was done being the guy who begged for scraps of attention from his own wife. I was done making myself small so she could feel comfortable prioritizing someone else. I was done accepting less than I deserved. I made another decision that week. I blocked Diana's number for calls, though I left texts unblocked in case there were practical things we needed to discuss about the house or bills. Every text she sent, That was emotional, or begging I ignored. The ones about logistics I responded to briefly and coldly. Do we pay the electric bill jointly or separately? Jointly, I replied. It auto-pays from the joint account. Nothing more. But I did not just sit around feeling sorry for myself. I called Sarah, a family lawyer I knew through mutual friends. I explained the situation. She listened carefully and asked, "Are you sure about this? Reginald marriages go through rough patches. Maybe counseling could help." I thought about Kyle's name mentioned 10 times in 15 minutes. I thought about the fire pit photo. I thought about being told to leave if I could not handle her having a work friend. I am sure, I told Sarah. I deserve better than being someone's backup plan. 10 days after, I left, a courier delivered legal separation papers to our house. Diana called immediately, and this time I answered. "Separation papers," she said, her voice breaking. "Really, Reg, this is what you want?" "You dared me to leave if I was insecure," I said calmly. I left. Now I am making it official. This is not a game, Diana. You do not get to treat me like I am nothing and then act shocked when I actually go. I did not think you would actually... Her voice trailed off. "Reg, please. Can we just sit down and talk face to face?" "What is there to talk about?" I asked, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. "You made your choice when you prioritized Kyle over your marriage. You made it every time you came home late. Every time you pulled away when I reached for you. Every time you chose to text him instead of talking to me. It was not like that," she protested. "There is nothing between Kyle and me. Nothing physical happened." "Maybe not physically," I said. "But emotionally, Diana, you checked out of our marriage months ago. You gave him the parts of yourself that should have been mine. And when I tried to talk to you about it, you told me to leave. So here we are." She was crying now. I could hear it in her voice. But I felt strangely detached from her tears. How many nights had I gone to bed feeling lonely and unwanted? How many times had I swallowed my hurt to avoid conflict? I was done with that version of myself. Through Jake, I heard what was happening on Diana's end. She had apparently broken down at work. Colleagues noticed something was wrong. Kyle, according to office gossip, Jake picked up through mutual connections, had completely backed off once he found out about our separation. Turns out he was not interested in being part of a messy divorce drama. He was just a guy who enjoyed attention from an attractive coworker. Nothing more, nothing less. Diana was left sitting in the wreckage of what her choices had created. A marriage destroyed. A reputation at work damaged by the obvious connection between her behavior with Kyle and her husband leaving. And Kyle himself, the person she had prioritized over everything, wanted nothing to do with the situation, now that it was real and complicated. The texts continued. "I made a mistake, Reg. I took you for granted. I see that now. Please give me another chance. I can change. We can fix this." But I had heard enough empty promises to last a lifetime. I responded once clearly, and finally. "You had 7 years of chances, Diana. You used your last one to tell me to leave. I am not coming back. We are done. Sign the papers or do not. But this marriage is over either way." 3 months passed. I moved out of Jake's spare room and into my own studio apartment. It was small, just one room with a kitchenette and a tiny bathroom, but it was mine. Peaceful. Quiet. No tension hanging in the air. No feeling of walking on eggshells. No wondering if tonight would be the night my wife actually looked at me like she used to. I started therapy. My therapist, a woman named Dr. Patricia Chen, helped me process everything. In our 3rd session, she said something that stuck with me. "You set a boundary, Reginald." She crossed it repeatedly. "You told her it hurt you. She dismissed your feelings. You finally followed through on consequences. That is not weakness. That is strength. Most people stay in situations where they are treated poorly, because leaving feels harder than staying. You chose yourself. That is brave." I had not thought about it that way. I just thought I was tired of hurting. But maybe it was brave. Maybe choosing your own peace over someone else's comfort is one of the hardest and most important things you can do. I reconnected with friends I had neglected during my marriage. Guys from college I had lost touch with. Former coworkers I used to grab lunch with before Diana made comments about me spending too much time away from home. I started going to the gym again, something I had stopped, because Diana complained I was gone too much. Slowly, I started feeling like myself again. Not the smaller, quieter version of myself I had become. The real me. Work improved too. Without the constant distraction of marital problems, I focused better. My projects came together smoother. My boss noticed and offered me a promotion to senior developer with a significant raise. The irony was not lost on me. The moment I stopped trying to hold together a broken marriage, every other part of my life started thriving. Diana still texted occasionally, but less frequently as time went on. Sometimes it was logistics about the house. Sometimes it was late-night messages clearly sent after drinking. I miss you. I am sorry. I was stupid. I let the important messages through and ignored the rest. I was not cruel, but I was not available for her emotional needs anymore either. She had Kyle for that. Except she did not, because Kyle had disappeared from her life. The second things got complicated. 6 months after I walked out, the state's required separation period ended. I filed for divorce. The papers went through without contest. Diana signed everything. No fight, no drama, just signatures on documents that ended 7 years of marriage. Our house went on the market. We split assets 50-50. It was almost anticlimactic how quickly a marriage could be dismantled once both people stopped pretending. The day the divorce finalized, I sat in my studio apartment with a cup of coffee and thought about everything. The hardest part was not leaving, I realized. The hardest part was accepting that I deserved better. For so long, I had convinced myself that love meant accepting whatever scraps of affection came my way. That loyalty meant staying even when staying hurt. Dang. That marriage meant sacrificing your dignity to keep the peace. But real love does not require you to ignore your own pain. Real partnership does not mean making yourself smaller so someone else can feel bigger. And someone who truly loves you will never dare you to leave. They will fight to keep you. They will care when you hurt. They will prioritize you, not because they have to, but because they want to. Diana taught me one of life's hardest lessons. Sometimes people do not appreciate what they have until it is gone. But by the time they realize it, it is too late. The damage is done. The trust is broken. The person they took for granted has found the strength to walk away. And no amount of regret can undo that. I do not hate Diana. I do not even think about her that much anymore. Sometimes I feel sad about what we could have been if she had made different choices. But mostly, I feel free. Free from constantly wondering if tonight will be the night she actually wants to spend time with me. Free from analyzing every text to figure out who she is talking to. Free from feeling invisible in my own home. The marriage destroyed itself the moment Diana thought she could say anything without consequences. The moment she believed I would always be there, no matter how she treated me. She was wrong. And in the end, the person who lost the most was not me. It was her. She lost a husband who loved her, who tried to fight for their marriage, who would have done anything to make it work. I lost a wife who stopped choosing me a long time ago. Those are not equivalent losses. I am not bitter. Bitterness requires holding on to anger, and I have let that go. I am just free. And that freedom is worth more than a marriage where I was a ghost in my own life. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from someone who dared you to. And sometimes the person who loses the most is the one who thought they were calling your bluff. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between your dignity and staying in a relationship? Have you ever walked away from someone you loved because staying meant losing yourself? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with anyone who needs to hear that it is okay to choose yourself. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it helps someone out there find the courage to value themselves the way they deserve. Take care of yourselves, and remember, you are worth more than being someone's backup plan.